Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, guys. It's Kyle here, and welcome to the show. I've got Cherie to my right, and we're just going to discuss a little bit about a book because we're both writing our own book, and we've become accountability buddies.
Yep.
And we've kind of had a few Zoom calls, and I mean this is the first time we've seen each other in person.
Yeah.
So we both said how much we're much taller than we thought we would be. Yeah. Zoom seems to shrink people down a bit. But we just thought we'd get together, and because we've been sharing a lot about the book, and we're quite deep into the book, but we're not necessarily finished.
Yeah.
But it'd just be good to kind of discuss
Yeah.
the emotions, and at least if anything, it's kind of something to look back on, down the track and just go, like, oh wow, what were our thoughts back then?
Definitely. And also take people on the journey of it as well, because so often we see like the end product of things, and I think people really do appreciate and find it interesting, like, how did you develop a book? How did you come up with it? What were the challenges that you had to go through? Or was it just like this linear process in creating a book? Was it like, were you structuring the days when you were going to write a book? But often it may not look like that, and that's what we wanted to share also on how we the writing process of our book.
Sherry, do you find that the book is teaching you, so you got the book, but it's teaching you a lot in terms of other things about your life? So as you're writing the book, it's kind of maybe in one area, like I can speak personally for me, it's making me a little bit more disciplined with breaking up my day. So I would usually maybe do one task for the whole day and spend a lot of time and energy into that task. But because you've got to, I guess, try and write every day or as much as you can, it's made me break up other tasks in my days. Have you found anything like that?
Well, I started writing this book about 2.5 years ago, and I did it purely to just express myself from what I was going through, and to just introduce the book a little bit more. I was writing a book. I am writing a book based on how to help women get out of toxic relationships. And a big part of it is how to develop a better relationship with yourself, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, and really understanding that once you do develop a beautiful and wholesome relationship with yourself, the relationships that are external, that come to you, will reflect that. So I was writing this book. I didn't even know I was writing a book, because I was just purely just trying to express my feelings through poems as I was, after a breakup, and writing reflections and what I've learned about the relationship. And as I kept on writing, I realized that, I could actually turn this into a book. So that was more like the process of how I did it through inspired action. And I would, every now and then, there would be moments where I would spend a lot of time in my book, so I could write for like hours and hours. And I never had a structure to begin with. I was just writing purely to release things from me, but also coming from a place of teaching and being a guide in that book to help other people. So I was also writing this as I was graduating as a certified holistic nutrition coach, and I pulled in information from there as well about how health is so much more than what we eat and exercise. It's about our relationships as well, our home environment. If anything, the food we eat is actually secondary to our health. So I pulled in those the information there as well, and I guess it was only until this year I realized that I really got to set a date to complete this draft, otherwise I'll never complete it. So when you're talking about, has this book taught you how to helped you learn other skills, it's definitely helped me follow through with something. And out of all the things that I've created, even in my own coaching business, this is the one thing that I feel really certain about. And
awesome.
That's helped. And this book has really taught me how to feel secure and know that whatever I share, my experiences, is going to be valuable to other people. I don't have to have this other additional qualifications and things like that. My experiences are more than enough. And something that you mentioned to me in the past, which I really took in, was that you said that our experiences are the truth. And that really confirmed to me that, anyone, whatever journey that they're going through, health challenges, relationships, career, that is your truth, and that makes sense to you at that moment in time. And that is you don't have to rely on other people to tell you what feels true to you or not.
Yeah.
So those were some of the lessons that have been really developed as I've been writing this book.
Beautifully constructed. I was thinking of multiple things I could have elaborated on there, but I think it's I think what's really special about it is when you write the book and when it's so certain that this is what you're supposed to do, it's really helpful, because writing a book it's a laborious process, and there's ups and downs, and does this this flow, does this join well, does this sound right? And I think if you've got that commitment or that feeling that, well, if this could help someone else, then that's worth it. And it becomes, it's about other people and yourself, but it becomes about other people as well when you're thinking about what value can I add with this book into someone else's life. And then you kind of, any criticisms, any worries, your own sort of, putting yourself down or whatever kind of goes to the wayside when you think about, what value am I adding to the world, and what value would I be adding to someone? If I was younger and I found this book, would these little skills, maybe some even, lessons that you can kind of apply, like breathing exercise or, exercise in the book, maybe things like that, would that have helped me in my younger, days? Also, when I was going through those experiences, and like you said, when we're going through those experiences, that's our whole world. Some things exist outside of that, but it's kind of becomes our whole world, that experience.
Definitely. And I think that becomes our motivation naturally. We didn't have to kind of force ourselves to write this book. We wanted to write this book. We wanted to, as much as it's also for others, it's also for ourselves in terms of how to for us to interpret or understand the situations that we went through. And in doing so, that also helps people. So I think those two combined is that motivation for us, and the discipline that comes with it is just actually the writing part of it, and reminding you of why you're doing this, and that itself is easy enough to complete the book.
It's a win-win. It's I mean, what are some of the things that you've, I guess, found most challenging with writing the book? Like, so you've been writing it for 2 years. Can I ask how have you written? Have you laid it out, structured, or has it been like ebbs and flows of passion? So one weekend you just felt really passionate, or maybe something happened. Like you said, originally you were writing poems. Was it kind of like inspiration then write, or was it organized? How did it go?
It was definitely through passion, inspiration, and through healing. So I can't help but include that into it. So big part of it was, once again, at the start, it was writing poems and writing reflections and journals, like diary entries, right? And that came from a place of just trying to understand the feelings that I was experiencing, the emotions, and also trying to figure out how to take care of myself better. So that itself was easy because I wasn't expecting to write a book at all. When I started wanting to write a book, I was following a course that supported me to provide this structure. But once again, that actually wasn't hard at all, because the more I wrote just coming from my heart, the more I realized that how clear each chapter was going to be, what it was going to include. So it comes through actually doing it, and then you will be provided with further clarity on how to make it more like what the direction you want to take the book, or what you want the reader to get out of. In terms of the biggest challenge, it would probably be it hasn't actually been a challenge writing this book, to be honest.
Oh, beautiful.
I guess the challenge is because the more you write, and you realize that you will write a lot. You won't have an issue.
You'll run out of content.
You'll never run out of content. But the biggest challenge, I think, it would be trying to, because the more you write, you don't want to get lost. You don't want to share information. You only want to write things that are really relevant and what can help the person with what you want to get out of the book, what you want them to get out of.
You're talking about the moments when you get into a lot of detail and you kind of start writing, and you're like trying to talk about every element of that one occurrence, and it's like, wait a minute, what is this going to apply? Like, what is this going to matter in the end of you've got to kind of cut it. I know what you're talking about.
So you got to cut it, and you got to make sure it's always relating back to your why are you writing this book, and what do you want the reader to get out of? Because you can go on forever with other topics that are related to that similar topic that you want in the first place. So that becomes a challenge, I feel, is the biggest challenge, as you just write a lot more in each section of your book.
Yes. Yeah. No, I can attest to that. I had an experience 2 days ago when I was writing, and I was taught, the heart and soul, I guess, section in my book, which is probably the meatiest and probably one of the most important sections in the book, and it's right there in the smack bang in the middle. And trying to get that stuff out of myself was quite tough. But then when I got a bit out of it, then it came out in like memories. Okay, yep, I remember that, and I was writing everything down. And I went, hang on a minute, and I was had a part of a day that I was writing, so I was writing for a few hours, and I went, okay, like I was getting frustrated because it just every time I wrote a bit more, it just unraveled a little bit more. And I went, okay, I need to cut it here because that's actually a perfect point to cut it. And it was, at this moment of a lot of frustration and thinking about what else to include, and I just went, no, that's a perfect place to cut it. And I think it was kind of liberating to be able to, pain, no pain, no gain. You go through the pain or the suffering of, oh God, like how do I structure this? And I need to put in every little detail. And you go, wait, no, the message has been delivered. Why do I need to, baffle on with all the details that can remain internal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or that could be used as some other.
Yes.
Something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or around a barbecue.
Yeah. In a conversation or on a podcast.
Yes. Exactly.
So could you just share a bit more about your book?
Yeah.
And what are the key themes in your book?
Yeah.
Who's it for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my book's for, I would say, probably my younger self. So maybe a few years younger. So maybe young men, going through their early 20s and looking for purpose in their life, struggling to find purpose and what their main reason is in their life. You go back a long time for like my grandfather's generation, and it was to serve in the army and protect the country and serve the country, and then for a lot of years it was to provide for the family, and then now I think it's kind of the world is balanced out in a lot of ways, and that's positive. But I think with every change, you have to look at is there a part of the society that might be a bit neglected, not knowing where their direction is, or are there areas that we can kind of I guess support other people? So that's probably who I'm writing for, and I did create a few avatars, and then I read in a book. I think I told you this. I read in a book. Someone was saying that they were writing the book for themselves, and it was kind of an interesting thing. I think when you write it for yourself, like you're drawing out all the best lessons, all the best information, and we are all so alike. The things that make us tick, like in terms of our mind, our emotions, our feelings, our heart, they make a lot of other people tick. So if you write from your experiences, like you said, and for yourself, and it comes out authentically like that, then I think it really has a lot of power to find its target market automatically, which is something interesting because I've worked out, I've been told, you get told a lot of advice. You got to find a target market. You got to draw out avatars. You've got to do all these things. So things which all can help, at different stages. But I think that one thing where it was, I'm writing this book for myself to better myself. I think that really struck a chord, and it's just about what strikes a chord. I mean, to go on to the sections. I mean, that's quite that's a book podcast in its own. But I mean, to roughly go over it, it's it starts with youth. And I guess my younger years where I was not going down the right direction, one wrong turn and it could have ended up pretty bad for me. Getting in a lot of fights, hanging around the wrong crowd, always finding myself, like the last kid in the class after a big mockery of one of the teachers, and they just find me and go, "Yep, you're the one we're going to detention." So I was just finding myself not in the right places. I had a few family members that I lost, and I had like a struggle like very early on in around 14. So I think that really pushed me to. I had a lot of aggression, a lot of pain, a lot of emotion that I didn't deal with. And being a man, you just shove that down, and you think that if I'm being a man, that's the way to do it. But it's not the way to do it because it's going to unravel in another way. It's going to come out in aggression or you acting out, and so that's the youth section.
Well, then what point in your life did you find that you started opening up and connecting with your heart and really allowing yourself to feel, or allowing to receive help from others, or expressing yourself?
Yep. I think for me, I don't think it was one moment, but I think it was a number of moments and a number of people. I think that combination. My grandmother, who I lived with, my grandmother and my grandfather lived with for 10 years, and they were always there for me. And my grandmother, she never gave up on me. So she was always, dosing me with love. And even when I went through they say teenagers go through the tunnel period and everything, she was always there. So I think, I always had that there, and I always was able to talk to my grandparents and open up. And I didn't for a while. And, it's funny you talk about the heart. The heart actually gets damaged when you close down so much. So, my grandmother, it's funny, I think a lot of women who, helped me to kind of, I guess, like partners I had and friends I had, a best friend who I felt like I could talk to about everything, like a mate of mine when I was 18, allowed me to open up. And then just bit by bit, and then I think eventually when it all comes to it, you kind of look at your life and you go, well, how am I going to live? Am I going to live in that same routine of something happens, let me shove it down, something happens, let me shove it down? Or am I going to start being open and sharing? And, and I think once you do that, it's kind of like a flower, because you just attract more people and you realize how similar we all are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so with the heart, because for me, the heart means a number of things. So not just unconditional love, but compassion and connection and giving. I often find that, like, when we are in certain relationships, my experience anyway was that when you're talking about the physical heart itself, and how you've actually had heart health conditions, around that same time when you were closing everyone off, right?
Yeah.
And then you pretty much healed and repaired your heart.
Yeah.
And in doing so, you also opened up yourself to other people, started expressing your feelings, really started appreciating connection.
Yeah.
Just an example for me was that when I never had any heart conditions, but when I was going through that relationship and leaving that relationship, I could literally feel my heart ache. And I had, I did not learn anything about even chakras at that time, about how, I didn't understand what that was. It just felt like my chest was really hollow.
Yep.
And I did not know much about my body.
Yes.
And just something like that can really confirm to us that, it reminds me of, like, why there's that term like heartache, right?
Yep.
And people just toss it around a bit. But it literally feels like a heartache.
Yes.
Your heart is aching because there's, like, that energy center. If you want to base it from, like, learning about chakras, you've got your heart chakra there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and the emotions you're talking, the emotions connecting to your body, which is, I mean, if the easiest way to explain it to someone who hasn't gone down this road is it's, when you bang your knee and you hurt your knee, that's you being aware of your body. But as you get more and more aware of your body, when you're angry and upset, as you get older, you might have palpitations. When you're, when you're feeling absolute love, you might just feel like totally relaxed in your body. You're feeling appreciated and admired. You might feel that relaxation throughout your body. And your veins and everything's just flowing well. So it's like, for me, what I understand is like the emotion really has a lot on the heart. And when you talk about heartache, there's like been studies done where elderly people, one of the marriage, the husband or the wife passes away, and only a few months later, they say that the other person died of heartache. There was no conditions, there was nothing that really was. This was we can tick it off that this was their condition, or this is why they passed away. It was just because of missing that person they've been with their whole life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also knowing that, like, because we are innately, we need each other, we need connection to fully thrive, even from, like, that mother and baby connection for a baby to survive. It's just so interesting to see how, like, to understand at a biochemical level that connection really does secrete various hormones in each of us to adapt to the people around us as well. So when someone is removed from our lives, even if it's a toxic person, a good person, the body has to adapt to that.
Yeah. Well, you go into it, I think, into your sections and your chapters, but I think nourishment is definitely one that we've been speaking about, and one that really I respect. But it was not just the nourishment of food and things that we think like physical, but it was what you're talking about earlier, which is nourishment of your emotions, and not just looking after your body just based on I need to exercise, but I also need to look after myself in another way, like by loving myself.
Definitely.
And that changes your whole body chemistry.
It does, and there's just too much science out nowadays that show the effect of our emotions and our thoughts on our actual physical body, on our health conditions. Either it worsens it, depending what you think about yourself and the feelings that you cultivate, or it can help a lot the healing process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this is why I was really interested in finding out more about visualization for you and how that's actually really helped you when you were going through your health conditions and helping you heal.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come up with this one day and go, I'm going to tackle this situation naturally, and I'm going to have all these systems in place. I had someone who come into my life who really knew a lot about natural health, and had helped heal other people from ailments, diseases, cysts, different sort of things throughout their lives, using some systems that he could put in place that weren't invasive, that weren't let's chop his arm off. They were a little bit more I guess, how do you say, ancestral. And so one of those things was to visualize every day and draw my fingers over the certain point that I needed to heal, and draw it how the actual organ and the actual part of the organ would function properly, and draw the fingers every day and go heal, heal. And at that stage I was in a hospital, so I didn't want to, and I was in the ward with 4 other patients, and I didn't want to be doing that out in the public. So I would, my time would be every morning I'd go in, and that'd be part of my morning routine is doing heal and kind of visualizing. And I think it's very powerful. It's very powerful, and it's very powerful in other parts of your life as well. Things might not actually eventuate exactly how you visualized, but the energy and everything, and it's kind of like it's kind of like putting something in Google Maps and just knowing the way where to go, because you're going to arrive there in some sort of way, but it might not be exactly as you visualized.
That's a really good example. I just wanted to share with visualization that I have been a bit inconsistent with visualization, but to support the body and heal the body. However, I had visualized consistently of the book that I'm publishing, and it's important to also ignite the feeling, right?
Yes.
We get taught about that when you're going on that manifestation journey. And it's been wonderful because I can really understand why visualization is so powerful, because I visualize the end product of my book. I visualize what it looks like, how it's being held by other people when I'm getting interviewed for this book, and this is all before, years and years to come for that to happen. But I would place I would ignite those feelings in my body, and it literally feels like it's going to happen. So what's happened since then, within the year, as I've been completing this book, I've naturally people have just come into my life who are on the same path like you. Very natural. Did I reach out to you? No, I didn't reach out to you. And you are on a very similar journey with me. I've also met other younger people actually who've already published a book out of nowhere. I rocked up to a workshop about writing, and I came across a young published author, and I got along with her immediately, and I realized that I can always connect with her any moment in time to ask her what's the path of this book like, how do you publish this book. So this whole process on creating this book has been very natural because I have really practiced visualization. I practiced consistently cultivating the feelings inside of what it would be like at the end when I receive that book in my hand, or when a reader receives that book in her hand.
Brilliant.
So just
brushing the hand over the cover, and getting ready to read it, and
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. No, I think another thing I can relate it to is when if you go out and you say you buy a red car or something like that, you'll see that model or that red car everywhere. And I think, that's something a bit different, but it's kind of how, there's so many visual elements for our brain to, take in every day, download and negotiate. And, it needs to cull and it needs to kind of organize. And so that's where, it will see that red car throughout the day. Or, I think it's a similar thing where, you can go in so many split off different ways in your life. But once you start visualizing, I mean, I do like morning affirmations. Once you start doing that, then you will kind of naturally find yourself, it's like a magnet. You're kind of pulling in the right people, which is, I think it's something that's very exciting, definitely while you're going along the journey. And I think when you get caught up in the work, or you get caught up in, I guess, other drama, or get caught up in, maybe doubt or anything, like the whole scale of things you'll go through, I think you got to come back to that, let me have that magnetic energy again. What do I need to keep that growth? What do I need to keep, that coming in? Because there's people around, and, we've been in communities our whole existence. And those people are there to help us. And they might not help you directly by, I'm going to buy a book, but they might help you by, I would maybe structure this chapter that way. Or have you been to this seminar? Have you seen this? And I think we live in a world now where it's very easy to help each other. It hasn't been more easy than ever to help each other. And I think, it's really something important that we can keep doing. Yeah.
That's great. And I think that's from like a science perspective, it would be like the reticular activating system that's in the brain.
That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
And also in the your subconscious will have those visual imprints in it. So it helps you, like doing things like visualization and affirmations would just keep you focused on what's most important, because like you said, there's so much that we can do and so many paths that we can take, but we can't take all of them.
Yeah.
And right now anyway.
Yes.
Like it's important to just prioritize what's most important, and what's most important for you right now. Well, one of the things is this book, right? Yeah, and to continue focusing on that, continue visualizing and all that, and people naturally come to you with to give you the right information that you need, or you don't know that they might help you somehow connect with another person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love what you said earlier about I don't think you use the word emotion, but when you're affirming, when you're visualizing, when you're going through that, adding emotion to it, because like one of my affirmations is I will inject the world with joy today, or something like that. So, but if I say that I will inject the world with joy, it's not going to really make a difference. But if I say it and smile and maybe look in the mirror and be like this is a commitment, this is affirmation that today when I go out there, the world's going to come at me in all sorts of ways. But whatever I do, I will try and bring joy into the world. And when you say it with emotion, there's you're going to do things. We all do things out of emotion. It's like when they talk about sales, and they say usually the price is right down the list in terms of why someone will purchase something, but the emotion is right up the list. I feel a bit lonely, I want to have a bit of chocolate, or I feel a bit unmotivated, like let me go grab a coffee, that's going to boost me up. And it comes from the emotion.
I completely agree. And everything is through feeling in the end, like how we even communicate. Often people pick up on other people based on how you feel about them, not just what they're saying, So there is also like an energetic, if you want to talk a bit more about, if you want to delve more into that, on like I guess, what is it called? A quantum physical level. Or energy resonance. What we attract is not just saying things. How we attract things isn't just saying things. And affirmation is about the feeling. The state of being that we are is what attracts those more situations of who we are.
Exactly.
Of the energy that we are emitting. Or
we are energy. So in your book, you're obviously bringing these elements into like back to science, aren't you? Because you've been in this realm for a long. How long have you been in like natural health?
Well, I've been in the health and wellness industry for about, say, over 8 years, and a big part of it was because I wanted to heal my various health issues I was going at that time, which was hormonal imbalances. I had extreme acne throughout my university life, and always wanting to find natural alternatives. I also had like a really bad 2 years experience of going on the contraceptive pill, which I'm really passionate in educating more women about.
Yes.
And through that was why I spent so long in natural health. So in the book, I do incorporate a lot of holistic practices on how to develop a healthier relationship with your body, and ensuring that I still back it up with some science, but then also pull in other information in like the alternative medicine arena, where it's not exactly accepted in mainstream, but it's becoming more. We are becoming more open to it.
Yes. Yeah.
As in a general or collective, as a collective. I already know that many already are taking on this route, but in terms of just making it more acceptable in the Western health industry, I think it's going to still take a while, because at the end of the day, we're always still relying on data and facts and what is tangible. What I say may sound like woo, but if it's my truth, and if it could help someone that actually makes sense to them to give it a try in their life, well, then I'm not going to stop myself from sharing that information.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think it almost becomes like undeniable. Like, so you have this situation, and then it goes and I mean, one of the things I think we all need to understand is that with science is not a fixed thing. There's fixed laws and things in science but science is constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. There's constantly different things that we're learning, every day. But I think in particular, when things become overwhelmingly, like, okay, this person tried this and it worked. Like, I guess maybe, an example would be like vitamin C. Or I know when I had a cough, and, I don't know why I was like this, but when I was younger, I didn't want to reach for Panadol, or I didn't want to reach for medical things, even though I had them there. Families always have a drawer full of meds. It's just a norm. But I didn't want to go and reach for those sorts of things, because I in my head, I don't know where this came from, but it was, I'm going to be dependent on that thing, and I shouldn't be, as a body, dependent on headache, this item, or I don't want to say any names. I don't want to bash anybody down, but I've got this. I need this element. I would always try and go, okay, what can I do? I know water helps out. If I've got a headache, like maybe I need to drink a bit of water. And then I had a sore throat for a while, and I had honey and I think lemon, honey and lemon tea, and I drank it for a couple of days, and it was quite a real cough, like an intense cough, and it got rid of the cough. It did take a bit longer. So that's the thing. So if I maybe went and got something medical or pharmaceutical, maybe it would have got rid of that a lot quicker, because it would have been a higher dose, higher punch, and it wouldn't have been natural per to say. But it's when you go natural, it's a little bit longer. Like when I healed myself, it was weeks of this strategy to try and heal myself, and there's uncertainty in that. And so I think a lot of people, they're not necessarily going to go for that, because it's not the it's not a quick fix option. But I think a lot of things, especially today, and people coming out, and hats off to all those people that are strong, who are coming out and saying, I had this and I beat this with this, because they're not waiting for science to tell them, no, that doesn't exist, or no, you're wrong. They're going, this is exactly what happened. This is exactly what I did. And that's just humans sharing information that we can all benefit from. I think to turn it, because I'm a bit serious, maybe to turn it to a bit funny side, but or something to think about. Have you thought about the disclaimers that you might need to use in your book? Like, I know you've spoken about references, like when you reference a quote, or you reference, I love when you sent that Cameron Diaz quote, and that part was really, really inspiring. But when you reference things, but how about disclaimers? Like,
disclaimers. I think I just put it at the very beginning in the introduction of the book, where I'm just sharing my journey once again. And any kind of health information that I provide is just like a recommendation or a suggestion. It's up to you if you want to take that on board or not. And any science that I do provide, once again, will be referenced like in the back of the book, based on people say, for example, like Joe Dispenza. when I talk about emotions and how it affects the body.
Yes.
So I will ensure that I reference, but I'm not going to constantly be placing disclaimers, because once again, I really want to bring it back down to my experience is my truth.
Yep.
And if that my truth can help others, well then there you go.
Yes.
You can take it, or you can't. You don't, or you don't. So yeah.
Exactly. It's a funny world we live in, where it's like disclaimer. I'm going to say a sentence. I don't want to offend anyone. Disclaimer. No one. Yeah.
But I think just as normal human beings, I think everyone is more equipped enough to choose which information that you want to feel right for you, or choose which information you want to try and experiment, even if it's for your body or in your life. So you have the choice, and no one is forcing you this information down your throat.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Choice.
And I find it funny, like, because I've always been really keen on, I guess, information and learning and like since a kid I was really, really curious. I had, like, there's a book out there called Curious George. I'm literally that little monkey.
Is that you?
Yeah, I'm that little monkey. I'm little Curious George, because I would just be so curious and would ask questions and would try and figure things out. And I think what I've learnt as I've been writing this book is that all through parts of my life, I would write things down, and I didn't know why I was writing them down. But it was, I think it was kind of like me figuring things out. And rather than looking at, early on I didn't have like father figures around that stayed for a long time. So I guess I didn't have someone imparting lessons on me. So, rather than looking at a father figure or, like a teacher or, a politician or a spokesperson or anything like that, I would try and get lessons from life. So I'd learn something, I'd see something in a situation, I'd observe something, I'd go, that's interesting, this person did that, and then this was their effect, and this person tried this, and I would write things down, and then I would start finding, I guess, mentors and those sort of figures. And once I found them, some people might find me funny, but I kind of like stick on them, because I'm like, I consume a lot of information from them, and I really drain everything and work it out, and then I go, okay, that was cool, let me go on to the next person. But what I find interesting, I mean, the reason I'm saying this is, I was watching something with someone else the other day, and they went, oh, I can't stand this guy, and they got up and left. And my mindset is like, yeah, there's some people I watch and they irritate me, they bother me, they different sort of things. And I don't think it was any serious topic. It was just I think it was just a podcast or something. So these two people were just chatting in a podcast, and it wasn't the topic. It was the person. I thought, oh, that's strange. But how I am is that I'm more looking at the information. I don't really care too much about if you've got a bit of a nasally way of saying things, or you're very intense, or you're too relaxed. Like, what's the information? Because that's the gold. Is there some things I can pull out of that? I don't know. Have you found like a lot of inspiration, or people that you found for your book as you've been writing it?
Over time, I've actually, as many who go on after a breakup and you're trying to find yourself, trying to get healthier and all that, you will be consuming a lot of information.
Yes.
You'll be going through like a self-development journey.
Yes.
And learning from different, like listening to a lot of podcasts and things like that. But I'm definitely in a place where I barely consume a lot of information anymore, because I feel like I've consumed so much to the point where it's my time to actually be the one teaching and to be the one imparting some of this information and my story. I think that if I did consume any more information, it would be too much for me. I feel like I'm very in my head a lot, and in order for me to balance that out is to reduce a lot of stimulation, to be honest, in terms of content, in terms of videos, podcasts. So I don't listen to many podcasts as much anymore. And I'm just in a place where I'm here to, it's the creating, it's the educating that I'm at right now. Yes. But in the past, I did consume a lot of information from all fields. Spirituality was a big field for me. And a lot of things just made sense that helped me provide that, some sort of place to come back down to, like, who am I, exploring myself more, what do I believe in, my values and all that stuff, and how to really develop myself internally to a point where I don't need to be reacting on what's going on in the external environment. I'm the one navigating, I'm the one creating. I'm not just...
You're not getting caught up.
I'm not being swayed by the external environment. I'm very... if I did, which is fine because we're all humans, I know things to come back down to make me feel like I know who I am and what I stand for. That
reminds me of that's brilliant you said, but that reminds me of a school counselor I had, like I remember him like in the last few years of school, and he said this one thing to me, and he said, "Kyle, it's how you react in life, and like that counts. It's how you react." I just thought I was like, wow, that's just a little simple collection of words coming from him. After me chatting to him, just was like so impactful. I just went like, gosh, it's like an undeniable truth. You find those undeniable truths that you can just carry throughout life.
Yeah. And you can even visualize like pretty much how you react to a certain situation, you're going to change the dynamics of the situation and what the outcomes are moving forward from that.
Yeah.
Like your whole reality will change based on how you react on a certain situation. So we do have to find ways to know how to be more mindful and aware of this constantly, of our actions will have certain set of outcomes. So what actions do we want to take?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think with the consuming content and all that sort of stuff, I've done a lot of that this year, like in terms of books. Like I've really gotten back into books, but I have found, had someone tell me like, wow, like they came over and they're like, wow, like it's 5:30 and you're still listening to things, or you're still like, and it did make me think, and I went, wow, actually, let me turn it off for a day. Let me turn it off for a few days. Let me tune out for a few days.
That's
and
good.
and it wasn't that I was listening to news or I was listening to, I guess reality TV shows. I was either, an Audible book was playing in the background or a podcast that I really liked. But you're right. I think what happens is it's important to do those things, and they can help you and they can add to you and they can really inspire you. But you have to design your reality and your future and who you are going to be in this world. And if you adopt too much from, like whether it's your heroes, whether it's, you've got a sports star that you just love and you follow on Twitter and you just, what he had for breakfast every single morning. Like it becomes like, wait, hang on a minute, put that device down. Who are you? What are you having? Like, are you getting involved in your life? That's the thing.
Exactly. And you can take on all that, like really good habits from other people, from people that you look up to, right? But it's important to also know that, are you doing it just for the sake of like wanting to be them, or are you doing it so then you can shape who you are and you're going to be happy with that?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's, you'll end up losing yourself in it. You can kind of like you can lose yourself in a moment. When you were going through that, that breakup and those hard times, did you find, I guess, like a turning point or a point where you felt like you could lose yourself in that moment? Because from the sounds of it, you went down the real productive way of a breakup. Like you didn't kind of, I don't know, maybe you went on a big drinking spree or something like that.
I actually didn't. I think it was just to the point where I was like, I've had enough with this. I didn't take that route. I didn't take the route where, I'm just going to jump into a whole bunch of other relationships and just neglect my feelings. Like these feelings were just inside that I needed some outlet to release. And the only way I could do that, and it's natural for humans to like receive some sort of something and it needs to be let out, was through writing, was through reflecting. Like that was my way on how to process things, not blocking it out. Like I knew that if I blocked it out, I would have to deal with that at some point or another. Because I find that I'm too sensitive and too aware of my thought, too aware of my emotions to put myself in those situations where later down the track I'll have to face the consequences and deal with that. So I was like, I might as well not even think about that. And I innately knew that it was because of the relationship. I needed to repair the relationship I had with myself.
Yes. Yeah.
And that didn't come from any kind of reading so much from other people on content about this. It was just like a natural thing.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's important. And it's like one of those, like those truths, like those experiences that are yours. It's like that decision that is yours. You're fed up and something needs to change and you need to grab a hold of it and work it out. And that's what we would have done, our whole lives, until we had, I guess, other influences in our lives. Now with your book, what's the, might be a bit deeper of a question, but what's the you like deep? Yeah. I mean, this whole conversation's been deep. Apologies for
this
people.
This is still just surface level. You're
yes, I know. Let's get right into it. Hit the hit it in the chest. No,
hit it in the heart. No,
yes, no. Let's be careful. What's the biggest purpose, or what's the greatest gift you want your reader to be rewarded with from from reading your book and going on that journey?
I think I love this question.
Yeah.
It's already making me feel like so like open.
Yep.
The greatest gift for this is to make them feel like they are safe and they're supported.
Yes.
No matter if they are still in that really bad relationship, and to know that you can get out of it and you can, it's not like this hard task, and I'm here to provide you the steps and and be your guide throughout the whole way.
Yes.
And that is probably something that I never had when I was going through that. So
Yeah.
I want to give this. This is like the biggest gift that from me.
Yes.
To make you feel safe and to make you feel like you are worthy, and you just don't know what's ahead of you when you do leave this relationship. Like, there's so much to receive. There's so much freedom you can experience. There's so much joy and way better people that you can meet that you just cannot even comprehend, because your mind can only make sense of things or based on what you've experienced in the past. So how are you supposed to you don't know that you can receive be open to other really amazing relationships if you are only just basing what you know from your past.
Yes.
So I'm here to provide them, like, I'm here to be that guide who's on the other side of this.
Yes.
And to take you to the other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's brilliant. I think it's when you're in that situation, you're very short-sighted and you can't see that way out. You can't really, like, you're right. Like, there's all this, amazing, friends and experiences and life that you're going to have after this.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, it's like, no, it's done. Life's over. I mean, this might be me opening up a bit, but I would have loved to have you as a friend around when I went through one or two of my breakups, in my early years, because I did not behave as mature as you went. I think I was, more of a acting out, sort of misbehaved after the fact. But definitely, a lot of times when you're really struggling with it, you can't deny that you really feel like that's like, that was your life, that was your world, and when that's taken from you, the world kind of, I guess, can lose a bit of color and a bit of taste and a bit of tangibility, and it's a rough thing to go through.
Definitely, because you're so used to having that person in your life. Even if they were mistreating you, that's what you knew, that's what was normal to you. So the moment you try to step away from to create a different reality, create a different experience for yourself, or leave that person, your body is going to be like, no, this is not normal. You're used to being in this environment. You're placing me in a different environment. It's going to be considered as a threat, actually.
Yeah.
Just based on like a
Physiological.
survival mode. Physiological.
Yeah.
So,
it's, I think what's funny is I've had this conversation with not trying to say men, women, and all the differences, but I think it was quite interesting that I've had this conversation with a man where it's been like, we felt an abuse in a relationship in terms of a more psychological or emotional sort of mental abuse and kind of a neglect, like, and I felt in a relationship where afterwards, and it was kind of, how I am, I'll go through and I'll keep going through, but then if there's little signs, not signs, but little marks against, what I think is, you should really care for your partner, and if they're unwell, if they're, really, say, like, for an example, just to make up, say if they're unwell and they're really begging for your help, and you've got attitude and you're like, can't be, but then that's a big, X against a relationship, because you really need that person in those moments. So I think when you're out of the relationship, you can kind of reflect on a few of those things, and then it helps you shape who you want or what sort of partner you want in your life. I mean, that can be in a friend, it can be in a family, it can be someone in a business, relationship that you want. But it's, I guess, with all this and this talk and this book and everything, it's about shaping and designing your life and what you want out of it.
Yeah, there is a section about that too, helping you create like the foundations, be it your passions or even, ensuring that your home environment and your social environment is really supportive to you.
Yes.
In order to help you bloom.
Yeah. I love it. And now, so how far, like, the way through your book are you? Are you like?
So I still got quite a bit to write to complete the draft. I guess I would say 30%.
Yes.
So, 30% left to finish off.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
How about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I think I've got pretty much all the content there, except like you said, each time you start writing passages, things just come out like word vomit. And it's just up to organising it. So I think it's at the sort of, it's definitely got the structures. The chapters aren't perfectly lined out, but it's definitely got the outline of the book that I want, and the amount of words are there that I want. And now it's just organising it and making it fit, because some chapters are just 20 bullet points, that I've that might be one sentence, and the other bullet point might be 3 sentences. But I've got to put that 20 bullet points into a chapter. So, and that's the thing. Like, I've heard different ways of how you write the book, but that was quite, I think finding how it works for you is interesting, because I was told, okay, you got to write it in this way, and this. I was very sort of structured how I went about writing it, but as you get into it, you kind of find your own method. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, and when are you, for the listeners out there, when are you looking to maybe publish it?
So I don't know what goes on after writing this first draft. If anything, I'm going to re-look at the draft again and do that second draft, which I don't think will take very long because the bulk of it is there. I would like to spend 2021 really getting the community on board and to just be on this journey with me and networking more, and to just even come on this journey on how to actually get this book published. I'll be definitely spending more time with you in 2021. And making way like around the community, just to share more about what's included in our book and our story as well.
I think that's what I mean. One of the reasons that me and Cherie are chatting about this, and why I wanted us to do is update on our progress, sort of video, was just to, I guess, explain the similarities as well around our books, because mine is, I guess, is a self-help book that covers 7 sections, and it's about balancing your life out and not quitting, and I guess realizing, same sort of things you're talking about on the other side of that, that there's great success, and there's great, and that's not just in a month or in a year, or that we don't have days where we go, oh, I want to quit with this exercise, or I want to quit with this thing. It's a continual thing of life. You just got to keep going, keep applying it, and really reward yourself for those successes. And I think that's with your book is really self-help for women and younger women going through struggle, and mine self-help for I guess men and going through struggle. So I just thought there was so much synergy there, and we both have gone through health challenges and natural health, nature, the lovely world, the lovely universe, the humanity has been there for us, and we've been able to source from it, and I guess extend our understanding to that. And so I think there was a lot of synergy there for us.
You said that so well, Kyle.
Stop it.
No.
I'm going to tear up here.
But yes, we have a lot of similarities in our book, and yes, my book is targeted to women because the language is more softer and for women. However, I do just want to make a note that even though it's for women, it still is very relatable to men, because men are in toxic relationships where they not necessarily be the one. Actually, no, in toxic relationship, there's 2 people involved to make it toxic. You can always leave at any point in time if you feel like the other person has mistreated you. But I know that men would actually, like you have mentioned, that you had experienced the psychological and emotional abuse as well, and I don't want to discount that at all. Us women do have our own responsibility to work on our insecurities, so we're not projecting that on men and having men not understand how to deal with it, because they're not used to having role models who help them learn how to manage their emotions. So it's a 2-way thing. We're responsible to work on ourselves, and then also males are responsible to work on themselves as well.
And I mean, it couldn't be better said. I think what gets me really inspired is when you are working on yourself, and you can see little successes. When I was going through school, I would have years where I would I listened to one of your YouTube videos earlier today, and I was kind of talking about when you're really going hard and you're like doing really well and kind of being a teacher's pet and kind of going along that journey, and then thinking that that's the world, and then other challenges come into play. But I think talking about that, like really trying to be a scholar, you're really trying to do well in school. I had years where I did really well and years where and it was kind of like that, like on off button, on off. And I think that's something that with my book, it's probably something I'm trying to address, is kind of like I want to live a life where every day I can give it my all, every heartbeat I can give it my all, and I can be joyous. And that's not gonna. I know it's not gonna happen. I know it's one of those goals that is. It's a goal there to have you head towards, but it's not necessarily. There's gonna be times when I'm gonna kick my toe and swear, or challenges, or moments that are gonna be harder. But I think if I can try and channel towards that, then it'll be really good. But one of the things I've noticed when I was growing up is that when I got into training for rugby and weights and all that sort of stuff, any little successes I would see would have me going like even more intense on it. And I think to relate that back to what you just said, and I guess the two books, is that how men and women can understand each other better, or how we can all understand each other better. The little successes are really important because they motivate you even more. I was playing the book, I think I mentioned it to you, The Way of the Superior Man. And it's a very interesting book. It's kind of it's quite confronting, and it's but it really, I think it's a really, really valuable book. And I was playing it to my partner, and she was listening to it, and she she was listening to it, and I play a lot of content, so like you heard I pump out a lot of content, and sometimes it gets a bit much. But she was listening to this, and she was going, this is what I've been saying, and this is what I've been saying, because the whole section was pretty much about the polarity of feminine energy and masculine energy, and how that can be in I could have feminine energy in a day, and you could have masculine energy in a day. Whether you're lesbian, whether you're gay, whatever you are, you can change those energies. But it's about understanding that energy, because I'm more of a balanced masculine energy. I didn't understand so much of the feminine energy, and that coming together and just having a bit of a laugh and seeing those things and learning those things and going, babe, I'm finally getting these things. I'm finally understanding, this sort of thing. Yeah, which is, I don't think you ever fully understand. Like my grandfather said this one thing to me when he was driving me to the train station. He just looked over at me and he said, "Oh, Carl," he goes, "don't try and understand women, mate. You never will." And I thought that was quite because he was quite funny. But I think it's it's true in a way. Like we will never truly understand that person because we're not that person. But we might be able to understand where they're coming from. And what they are trying to say. They might say one thing, but we might hear something totally different. And so, and that was one thing that I definitely noticed in The Way of the Superior Man, the section where he was talking about a woman might tell you this, but what she means and what she's feeling is this. And for a man, it's like, don't you mean what you're saying? Like, what's, so I think, and, like I said, that could be, a male could be doing that because it could be a masculine, feminine energy, whoever it is in. But I think that's, with our books, the joining of, those understanding the other sex, understanding each other. And of course, what's really important is understanding yourself. Which you have. I mean, I was reading your book and I was going, I'm a man, but I enjoy this book. I really liked, the section that you sent me, and I really liked some of the titles that you were talking about and going into pain and those sorts of things, because, look, it might not be glossed up and pretty and advertising, like super advertising, but it is important. It's really important to go into talk about those things and kind of work out what you can understand and what you can change.
Yes, definitely. And that book could be, even if I change the language, it could be for a male, because it's about developing a better relationship with yourself, which anyone can practice.
I mean, we've all been practicing self-development since caveman times. Getting around the fire and listening to the wisest man in the in the community, or listening to someone else train us and teach us to do things better. I think it's important. Awesome. Well, thank you, Cherie. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you so much.
It was such a great chat. We covered a lot of areas.
Yes, we did.
but at the end of the day, I'm really excited to be, on this journey with you to launch the book and to keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what I'd say to like the viewers is that it's really nice to get someone who's on a similar wavelength and like someone who can be like an accountability buddy and on that journey with you, because you will add different things and add different elements. And you can, it's as much as knowing, someone else is going through a bit of a struggle here, and they can see that once they get over the struggle, then they get to hear, and it's helpful to have to connect.
It's been so powerful, like for the accountability part as well. To actually get our books finished.
Yes. Yeah. Onward and upward, 2021.
It will be 2021.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Here we come.
Yeah.
Exciting. Awesome. All right, thanks guys, really appreciate you joining us and tuning in and listening to us chat. And if you have any questions, please pop it down in the comment section. And Cherie, where can people find out a little bit more about you and your book journey?
Yeah, so I haven't really shared much about my book journey on my business Instagram, because I'm a holistic nutrition coach, and I do provide holistic health and life guidance. So you can find me on my Instagram, Bloom by Cherie. And mainly, I'm mainly there.
Okay, awesome. Bloom by Cherie. Beautiful. And me, just Kyle_Spyrides is where I'm sharing a bit more of the personal stuff. I guess I just created an account that will go into that a little bit more so it can be focused. But we'll keep you updated, and let us know if you have any questions, and we're more than happy to help out.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.